This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from the upcoming Old Creamery Theatre production of Footloose. Keegan Christopher. Hi, Keegan. Welcome back.
Hi. Thanks for having us again.
Nice to see you again. And Seth Hunter. Seth, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
From the cast and directing team, the movie Footloose is going to be one that's going to be familiar to most people. It's the movie that kind of made Kevin Bacon a star.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. We can argue about that later. But for those who may not have heard about the movie and then became a musical like we do these days, who wants to give me the elevator one paragraph summary?
Yeah. So it's about this kid, Ren, who Seth plays, who moves to a small town in Texas, Beaumont, from Chicago, where they've outlawed dancing for a various number of reasons. And about his soul searching to figure out why that happened in this town and what needs to take place for the town to move on from that. And how the town and he grows in the process.
The original movie featured a soundtrack of tunes.
Yeah.
Let's call them popular 80s artists
Yeah.
at the time. And I have not seen the musical version. How did tell me about how the music transcends?
They're all there. So there are a few new songs and new versions of things to put in there, but all the classic songs that you're expecting to be in there are there. And I think they do a better job in the movie. In the movie, they're more backing to what's going on in the process.
Oh, yeah.
And with a musical, you get the opportunity to take those songs and put them and make them a part of the story, and they really fit. It's truly a similar structure to Mamma Mia, that it really works. It really works.
So Keegan, you are in the show. You play the best friend.
I do.
The Christopher
Willard.
Penn character from the original movie, but you also choreographed the show.
I did. Yeah, my wife Katie and I choreographed it together.
So tell me about that. Tell me about how choreographing a show about dancing where there can't be any dancing until like the very end.
Well, yeah. So it takes a little bit of work to figure out what you're going to do and how it works. But dance is, I think, a series of all sorts of different types of movement. So it doesn't have to just be classically what you're thinking, that I'm going to go watch somebody do jazz or ballet or something like that. It can take any sort of form. So it can be they're in a gym class and they're doing kickboxing, and how does that movement start to form into what we would see as a dance, but maybe the residents of Beaumont wouldn't see it as a dance. I think dance is also, it's truly the expression that they're using to move the plot forward in this show. So it's a really interesting concept to go, well, you start slipping this little piece in here and this little piece in here, and then they start to build and build and build and build until you get to the end of the show and they finally get to cut loose. So
cut loose. Where have I heard that before? Seth, you of course play the male lead, Ren.
Yep.
And you said that you've never seen this movie.
I have never seen this movie before.
Had you seen the musical or anything?
I've never seen the musical either. I came in here blind, and sometimes I do that as an actor. I try to not watch other performances of other people because I want to give my own spin to the character as I read it. And I think that gives me a little more liberties to look at the play from an objective kind of view of, okay, why is this character the way he is, and how can I make him into a better person and more of a real person, because sometimes if we try to emulate movie people and how we see it, they become very stagnant characters. So having this new look allows me to live Ren on stage instead of just copying something I saw before.
It also gives you a little bit extra freedom, I think, too, because if someone says, hey, you copied that from Kevin Bacon, you can say, huh, I never saw the movie.
Kevin Bacon copied me.
So as you were kind of getting into the head of this character, tell me about that process. Was there anything that turned out different as you got into the role than when you read the book for the first time?
So the first time I read the book, it's really cool. The script is actually written quite well, especially for kind of a jukeboxy kind of show. The character really comes across as you read it, and he pulls off the page. He's very brash, he's very loud, and he makes a lot of noise because he wants to make a lot of noise. But I'm not going to give away the ending if people haven't seen it yet. But it was nice to give like a fresh to kind of freshen up as soon as we started doing it in actual rehearsals, because when you have other people to kind of build off of, like especially Willard here, having how I read Willard was much different than how he portrays it, which changed a lot how I interact with him. So having the other people has really kind of changed how I've looked at the character, and I've made him a little less loud to be loud for sake, and more loud because of his past.
Yeah, well, and Seth's certainly right. It is, I think, a really good script. When you hit a musical, sometimes you go, "Oh, it's a really cool story." The script is, okay, we're here, but we're going to get to the great songs.
We're stitching these songs together with just a few lines to make it look good.
But that's not the case with this musical. The script is really good and it's strong, and it does tell the story really well.
Well, it does tell a story. I mean, we all, back in the day when the movie first came out, it was, kind of about the music. It was about this Kevin Bacon, who was new to the scene, but the story is really one. It's one about trying to heal this community.
Yeah,
and I think that the movie did not touch on that quite as lightly as it sounds like the musical script does.
Yeah, it really works, and I think it also is what takes this '80s pop culture movie and helps it transcend to our current day society. I think you can come in and watch this movie, and maybe you're not going to completely buy this reference or this reference, but you're going to see everything that's happening and go, that happens in today's society with this topic or this topic or this topic, and I fall somewhere in this range, and maybe this will help me heal while I'm laughing, while hopefully maybe a few tears shed, but it's all about love and family coming together.
Talking with Keegan and Seth about Footloose coming up at the Old Creamery Theatre in Amana. Do you set it in the 80s then?
Oh, we set it in a kind of nebulous period. It's got 80s ties to it, but we tried to not get too specific about what we're doing with it there. So
okay, so not necessarily big shoulder pads and poofy hair and frosted jeans.
Yeah,
maybe a little.
Maybe a little. You'll see little touches of it all over the place, and certainly a scene with roller skates there. We didn't go to Blade, so.
Now this is also not the first, but it's the Old Creamery has been staging some larger shows.
It is
traditionally. Old Creamery has done, small shows, small musicals, but you guys are branching out just a little bit. Talk to me about staging a larger show on what is a delightful but not terribly spacious stage.
Precisely. So it's our 4th year of starting to move in this realm of where we're starting to grow. It's certainly our biggest show. It's a cast of 16, which may not sound big, but in any musical world, it's a big show, and certainly on our side of the stage, it's a big, big show. We have a lot of set to fit on our stage,
yes.
And it is crammed backstage, but it's also really cool to get to see all these different places evolve on it. I don't know, it's a really cool process, and I think our audience is really going to like seeing the show. Certainly, it's only one person bigger than Grease last year, but Grease has this feeling of it's a small, close-knit group of friends all working together, and the one extra person seems to make a big difference for Beaumont. So
that person isn't all that big, but they take up a lot more space, apparently.
So
the show opens
September 7th and runs through October 1st. It's 4 weekends, so you got a whole month to come out and see us. You can get tickets by calling 319-622-6262 and call our box office. Tickets start at adults for $31 and kids for $19.50. You can go to our website, www.oldcreamery.com, to get your tickets there. They're all available. And we've got shows Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday matinees at 2 o'clock, and then Friday and Saturday evenings at 7:30.
All right. Keegan and Seth from Footloose, opening September 7th at the Old Creamery Theatre. Again, oldcreamery.com for tickets and more information. Gentlemen, before we turned on the microphone, you sounded like a couple of old men talking about your aches and pains. So obviously that non-dancing choreography is still pretty intense. So I hope you heal up okay in time for the opening and have a good run.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Dennis. It's great seeing you.